So I make videos about D&D, right? I make longer videos on here on YouTube talking about Dungeons and Dragons topics that interest me. Some kind of like a video essay thing, others where it's just like a casual conversation. But I also make a lot of shorter videos, not just here, but over on like Instagram Reels and TikTok as well. Anyway, one of those shorter videos that I made a while ago actually has blown up quite a bit on TikTok. And not exactly for like good reasons. Mate, I think I've accidentally started my first controversy. Hey, my name's Cam, by the way. Welcome to Rogues Roll Call. If you're new here, I make lots of videos about Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop gaming in general. So here's the scoop. Of all the things I can say about D&D, of all my opinions that I have about it, I didn't think the thing that would get me into this much hot water, I didn't think the thing that would cause a civil war in the comments of my video, in the comments of a 1-minute video, would be me talking about a very popular and well-known puzzle. You heard me right. A puzzle is what all of this is about. Here's what I'll do. I'll play the short video that I made explaining the puzzle. Then we can talk about why so many people are fighting about it. And I mean, people are beefing. One of the top comments on that TikTok video ended up being like a 50 response thread. Absolute cage match. This right here is one of my favorite D&D puzzles because all the DM has to do is set the scene, grab the popcorn, and watch. I didn't come up with this, it's actually been around for a while and a bunch of DMs have put their own spin on it, so here's mine. The players enter a room and the door slams shut behind them. At the other end of the room is an iron door with no lock or handle. Above the door are 13 torches and they're going out one by one. And on the side walls there are a bunch of small ominous holes. The implication here is clear. When those torches run out, when their time runs out, something bad is going to happen. The players will also find a pressure plate in the room that when stepped on will reignite the torches, giving them more time. The players will search and search for a solution to this puzzle, but here's the trick. There is none. When the torches all go out, the door opens. This is just like a fun, slightly cruel one if you want to watch the players sweat, that's all. So there it is. I'm sure some of you watching are already down there furiously typing a comment, but slow down, scroll back up, let's talk about it first. Then you can tell me what you think. So a lot of people have said that this puzzle is a bad idea because it's a waste of time for the players, it betrays their trust in the DM, it takes away their agency, or it's just plain lazy. I want to talk more about all of that and even give a bit of a counter argument, but first, let's make something very, very clear. If you think that any of those things that I just said are true, that's completely fine. You are absolutely allowed to not like this puzzle, to hate it even. I'm not even saying that you're wrong. A lot of people in the comments that I was talking to seem to think that my issue is when people say they don't like this puzzle. That's not it. My personal issue is when people in the comments of that video started making personal jabs at me, simply because I was acknowledging the existence of a, again, very popular and very well-known puzzle that I didn't invent. I simply said that I liked it, and that my players liked it. That's it. And there were people calling me like a boring, lazy, careless DM, telling me that I shouldn't DM ever again, that my games must be awful to play in, stuff like that, and in much less polite words. And I'm just here thinking like, chill, right? Like, chill the f*** out. If you're a DM, just don't use it. Problem solved. Moving on. If you're a player though, and your DM runs this puzzle, here is the absolute worst case scenario. I'll lay it out for you. You do the puzzle, it takes maybe 10-20 minutes tops. You let your DM know that you don't like this type of puzzle, that you feel like it betrays your trust, and your DM says, fair enough, and it doesn't happen again. That's it. That is the absolute worst case scenario. Now, if the scenario does get worse than that, than what I just described, if your DM pushes back, if they get passive aggressive, or if they drag that puzzle out over multiple hours or anything like that, that's a genuine bummer. But your problem isn't with the puzzle then, it's with the DM. That DM kinda sounds like a dick. You might need to find a new DM, and that sucks. I completely sympathize with that, but it's not the puzzle and it's not me for talking about the puzzle. And also, if I used this puzzle because I wanted to save time, because I was lazy, it would make no sense for me to then spend hours and hours of my time outside of the table doing stuff that I don't need to do just because I want it to be more fun and entertaining for the players, because that's more fun and entertaining for me. Stuff like making huge binders filled with like information and other random stuff that makes the game better. Excuse me if I'm getting a bit defensive here, but I wouldn't spend hours and hours typing up recaps of every session that we play just so my players can read them back later and reflect on all of these memories that they have of awesome moments. Like the time there was some stuff buried under rubble that they wanted to get to, and their idea for getting to it, right, get this, was to turn the rubble into mud, then summon some spectral gorillas to dig through the mud to get to what they needed. It worked. Definitely not what I was expecting. That's off the point. That's just stuff like that. I think it's fun to type up recaps so that your players can, at any time later on, read back on it and be like, oh yeah, that thing happened. That's awesome. Anyway, going back to the puzzle, let's list some of the most common issues that people have with this puzzle, or at least what I saw in the comments of my video. So there were people saying it's a waste of time, it betrays their trust in the DM, it takes away their agency, or it's just plain lazy. Now here's my counter argument for all of that. I don't really need to do it point by point because my counter argument kind of applies to all of it. I think what this is mostly is fundamentally a misunderstanding of the point of this puzzle. Having the solution be do nothing isn't that way because the DM can't think of anything better. Having the solution be do nothing is the entire point. That is the solution because it's something called diversion of expectation. The entire point of this puzzle is for it to be what the players least expect. The point of the countdown of the torches going out, of it feeling like the players are running out of time, and the point of them having the option of restarting that timer, is to make the players doubt themselves, to raise the stakes, to make it feel dangerous. They're not just all standing around there in that room literally doing nothing. They're trying to think of ways around this. They have a literal ticking clock there. Doing nothing and letting the timer run out is a solution that I can guarantee at least one of your players will come up with pretty quickly. It's not that complicated of a puzzle, really. But are they willing to take that chance? Are they willing to take the risk? That is what makes this puzzle fun for so many people. Letting the torches go out may be the answer, but what if it's not? What if the torches go out and those ominous holes on the wall shoot gas or arrows? What if this idea makes things worse? Suspense. Doing nothing and letting the torches go out being the solution to this puzzle isn't the solution for lack of a better solution. It's the solution because that is the entire point. This puzzle is a trust fall. It is a leap of faith. It's the players holding hands and praying that this works. Now, obviously this puzzle wouldn't work if your DM did stuff like this all the time. The entire reason that this puzzle works is because, again, diversion of expectation. It wouldn't be a diversion of expectation if your DM is always pulling stuff like this. So saying something like using this one short puzzle means the DM can't be trusted again, it's kind of silly. I'm going to be completely honest with you here. If your trust in your DM is that fragile that a 10-minute puzzle with a diversion of expectation can break it, that sounds like a problem with your DM, not the puzzle. Like I said, worst case scenario, if you're the player, is you do this puzzle, you let your DM know that you didn't like it, doesn't happen again. The end. Moving on. It's not that serious. That's my counter argument anyway, but what do you think of this puzzle? Have you played it or have you run it at your table before? How did it go? Again, I'm not saying you're wrong if you don't like this puzzle. In fact, I understand why a lot of people wouldn't. I can completely see how for some people they might feel like this puzzle is a waste of time. But the fact is, this is a very popular and well-known puzzle. A lot of DMs and players do like it. I'm one of them. My players liked it as well. And I know that a lot of people like this puzzle because a lot of people in the comments of this video on TikTok and Instagram were saying that their DM used it and they loved it. There's no point in gatekeeping when it comes to D&D or trying to tell people that they should or shouldn't like certain things, because that is completely antithetical to the point of TTRPGs. Everyone likes to play in different ways, and if that weren't the case, TTRPGs wouldn't be a thing. Everyone would just get the same kit with a very structured and strict rule book playbook that you have to follow step by step by step. The entire reason so many people exclusively play homebrew campaigns is because people like different stuff. You can say you don't like something, you can even say why, without talking trash about the people that do like it, or the DMs that experiment sometimes and try small stuff like this, small puzzles to see what their players enjoy. If you play D&D long enough or TTRPGs long enough, you are going to end up doing stuff that you don't enjoy as much as other stuff. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Telling people they're wrong or they're not as good at D&D as you are just because they are having fun is cringe. It's cringe. Don't do it. But anyway, that's basically my rant here done. I just wanted to talk about this because the amount of discourse about this one small, seemingly insignificant puzzle over on TikTok and a little bit on Instagram, but not as much, has been insane. Quite frankly, it's kind of blown my mind. I can't stress enough how many fights I have seen in the comments of that video about this puzzle. I can't stress enough how many people got like really personally angry and upset with me for talking about this puzzle. It's crazy. That's all. So I felt like I had to make a video about it and talk about it. What I will say is that it's all pretty interesting to talk about, at least, right? Like, putting aside all of the, the crappy comments making personal jabs at me, a lot of the comments explaining why they don't like this puzzle were actually really interesting. A lot of them made very, very good points. And as for the other ones that were a bit more rude, I'm an Aussie dude. I've been called worse things by my grandma for a laugh. If you like D&D, Dungeons & Dragons, or TTRPGs in general, then I would love it if you stuck around. Subscribe. I have lots more fun videos on my channel, and I have lots more to come. I promise my next video won't be such a hot topic. It'll be something a bit more fun. Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you later. I love you. I don't know why I said...